Yeah.
touched a possible contaminated surface. But you can touch your face all you want in your own after you've washed your hands.
I thought you had to like have 6 feet of social distance between your hands and your face.
Um, that's horrible.
Yeah,
That's unthinkable. That's
you're supposed to keep your
fine.
hands like in like a hand safe, like a like a gun.
I mean, there's hand bubbles. Have you seen the hand bubbles? You like blow them up and then you put them on your hands.
I have not
And then
seen the hand bubbles. No. Are
I'm
they
kidding. There's
okay? I thought you had like the hand bubbles like like the feet shoes.
precisely, but there is not. I totally just made that now.
Okay. Well, I think you should patent that.
I should. I mean, you've seen the image of the man in a bubble. You've seen that. It's like an inflatable bubble as some kind of air pump, and you literally just walk in a big old like.
Wasn't that a Travolta movie, the boy in the bubble?
It could be, but I don't know. I think anything's possible with Travolta. There's like, just think of any title, and you'll have a Travolta movie.
Anything is possible when you're John Travolta. I think that is accurate. I think it's poetic as well. So for those of us, those in the audience who might not know, I'm talking with Angelina Saenz, who is who gets mad when I call her Angelina because that's not her name, and
Really.
and she's a poet of great renown here in California, in the United States of America, and a planet called Earth. Um, but she's going intergalactic, with
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, Cont- continental.
continental, yeah. So can you tell our audience a little bit about the books you've already produced and what you're working on right now?
Well, I'm actually working on my first manuscript, and I have in a few journals. Um, I think that's all I really have to say about that. I know there's somebody in my life who's really like hustling me to get my shit done.
Uh-huh.
And so thanks to them, I'm writing furiously to get this manuscript done.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm really excited about it. I wrote for 4 hours yesterday and cried all the rooms. But yes, I am a poet in LA, Chicana, working on my first manuscript to submit for a book.
But you've also written like some like you've written things that have been published. You have a collection of like a child's book or
I wrote a children's book that I know. I don't know why I don't claim that. That's like the saddest thing. I did write a children's book. It's on Amazon. It's a very sweet story of my oldest son wanting a sibling. I really, really love that book. I don't know why I don't push that more. And then I've just written a lot. I'm a fifth grade public school teacher, so I've written a lot of articles. Well, not a lot, but I've written some articles on and learning.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you really should, because I mean, when I put your name into the little Google search bar, that comes up. So that was
Ah,
my extensive research.
Beyonce. I mean,
Yeah,
I need to Google myself. I think we
yeah,
should all
yeah.
Google ourselves and see what's happening.
You should, yeah, good, yeah. Find out about yourself. Use Google.
Well, I mean, here's a funny story. My students at the end of last year, I don't know how it started. I actually didn't know they were doing it until one of them said, "Hey, you matter, Senora Saenz." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they were Googling all the teachers' names at school. So then they got to my name and they were like, "Look, it says you're an author." And I was like, wow, the Google verse like knows my heart. Because I mean, I have written Waiting for Luna, which is a children's book, but
Yeah.
I was surprised to find that if that I am under author on a Google search. Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still figuring out how to like do that. I'm not. It just says Matt Cedillo and then gives my like I don't know, But my book is doing good.
I mean,
My book.
does it say that you were on ESPN? I mean, no, not ESPN, that you were on C-SPAN? That's what I want to know.
Here's the thing.
I
I've
mean,
also
everyone needs to know that you were on C-SPAN.
I not only have I been on C-SPAN, I was also in ESPN.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that news.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is so much news. I
I
mean, like
know. You like for real. There needs to be like a ticker tape for you. Like just a ticker tape on all of our screens. That's like the next thing that you did. It's just unbelievable. You're such a rock star.
well,
But
okay.
but I mean, I really connected with you before I knew that you were a rock star. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad I knew you before all the fame and fortune.
You continue to know me in those days, pre fame and fortune. It's an odd thing though. It's an odd thing to be Googleable but not famous. You know what I mean? It's an odd thing to be impressive on Google and not be famous. I mean, it's a weird, like because I don't think any
when my students were like, you matter, and I was like, why? And they said there's all this stuff on Google about you, and I was like, fascinating. Like maybe I should just Google myself every day to feel like the way I'm supposed to feel, the fact that I'm on Google.
Yeah.
That could be like could be like how I feel good about myself. No, that's not true. I feel good about myself with or without Google.
With or without Google.
Fuck Google. Fuck Google. How's that?
Yeah, I love Google, but but the question is of being like notable and having done things and people know about it, people talk about it. That's a thing in life, right? But you're not famous. Like famous people don't have to tell you why they're famous. They're because you know who they are. Like Tom Cruise is famous. Like LeBron James is famous. Those people are famous. Like they walk in a room and everyone already knows.
Well, they're celebrities, right?
Yeah, because
they're well known.
They're well known. Yeah, they're celebrated and well known.
But that okay.
Famous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm getting into the semantics of this. Like, ooh, let me break down famous. But anyway, we don't have to do that. But you know what, Matt? You know what? I am fucking famous in the lives of my children. I am a famous sister and daughter and compañera and teacher. Like we're all famous in our own lives.
Are you more or less famous than your siblings within your family structure?
Well, my two siblings are like larger than life. So it's pretty, serious when we all get together because all of us share the exact same intensity. And we're all super, life. So, you put three thugs together and, it's troublesome.
Yeah. So you went to I'm going to start talking about things about you that are interesting. So you went to Oxford, that are interesting to me. It might be interesting to the audience. I mean, just things I know. Okay. Not that this hasn't been interesting. This has been fascinating. But like I'm the things that our audience might get to know a little about you that are of note that you might find in a Google search. So you attended Oxford.
By the way, I want you to know, like, it's fascinating and famous to me that you spring these interviews on people. Like for you to like, what are you doing? Can I interview you right now? That's fascinating. That's all I want to say.
Oh, I appreciate that. Okay, well, I'll tell you the backstory on that. So like when this started, I started kind of freaking out, and I started creating all these like time charts for myself and working really hard on getting my shit done, right? And I'd be like, okay, I have an hour to work on this. I'm gonna read for an hour. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and I really highly structured my time um, to really because the only thing I'm in control of is my own production. So I'm going to stay in control of my production. Uh, but then I realized, I get tired of myself. I just get tired of myself. Like, like some people think I'm a raging egomaniac, and that's fine, but I'm not a narcissist. I get tired of my own reflection. I can't take it anymore. I gotta talk to other people. I have to hear what other people are thinking, about. I have to hear about other people's lives. I can't just be constantly thinking about myself and the things I'm up to. Because it doesn't give me anything to respond to.
And that is very Buddhist, by the way, for you to think about other people. So it's really good. Like if every day we took a moment to think about somebody else and reach out to them and see how they're doing, like that'll take us a long way. And sometimes when you reach out to other people and you see how they're doing and they're really struggling, it'll give you appreciation for actually where you are, right? Because
Yeah,
sometimes when all we're doing is obsessing over our own problems and thinking about ourselves, um, we, are whatever's happening to us, it seems larger than life. But then I could check in with my father who's like not doing very well, and then I can hang up and be like, wow, I'm so appreciative of my health and that my children are healthy, right? So that's good, Matt Cedillo, that you're springing interviews on us and checking in on us and seeing how we're doing. It's good for you. It's good karma.
okay. Well, I appreciate that, and I really want to give people an opportunity to, to meet each other, to learn about each other. People I'm interviewing, I know I tend to know a little bit about, and so like I want to like, I'm learning too. Like when I talk to people, learning more about their lives. So, I want to, it's a diverse set of people that I know. I mean, like not just diverse like, by life experience stuff like that, but it's a they have different jobs, they have different interests, they have different fields of expertise, and they can learn from one another if they watch the videos, right?
Right.
Like right.
Precisely.
And as I learn along the way as well. So I want to ask you a question: how does your poetry, the fact that you write poetry, the fact that you're a prolific poet, the fact that poetry is something you do, how does that affect your teaching style? Because you're also a teacher. So how do you see these things, kind of, meld into one another?
Well, I mean, actually, poetry is a means for me to explore the questions that I'm thinking about and like the impressions that I get, right? So if I'm thinking about, power dynamics or um, oppression, opportunities that some people have that other people don't get, privilege, all of this stuff. So really, or, if it's not all of those social things, I'm constantly like my own interior life and relationships. So poetry helps me articulate kind of insights that I feel that I have about all of these different things. And the same thing happens in my classroom, right? So the only reason why I'm a teacher is because I had such a terrible through 12 experience. And I finished my undergrad at Occidental. And then I actually majored in theater and anthropology. So I wasn't going to do anthropology. I wanted to go into acting. But I had a year between working that out. So at that time in 1998, LA Unified was hiring people off the street for real. Like you just 1998, you can go get an emergency credential. They were putting like Joe Blow in the classroom. I was one of the Joe, the wait, the Juana, the one of the Juanas. Is that the Spanish Joe? Anyway, coincidentally, the first place where I taught was in Echo Park, where I grew up, and I was teaching my friends' children. And at the time, in like the 70s and 80s, when I was growing up in Echo Park, it was such a terrible and tragic time. And it was an interesting experience. And so a lot of the parents who were people that I grew up with, we were kind of survivors of like gang violence and poverty and so much trouble. So to teach their children was very profound to me. And I really went into it as I'm teaching the children of these people that I survived with, right? And in my graduate program, which was Claremont Graduate School, that was the first I learned about teaching in a way that was really student centered and respectful to children, which is what I felt that I needed growing up and that I didn't get. I mean, there was three teachers who really made a difference in my life, like in LA Unified, but for the most part, it was just going through the motions and it was awful.
Yeah, yeah.
And so teaching for me, like my poetry, is a way for me to like really investigate learning, children, our reality. I'm still teaching in our barrio, but it's being gentrified now, so that's different. But yeah, so I think poetry and teaching is a way for me to understand the world and continue to like ask and answer questions about it.
Yeah. So for those of people who are watching from a different part of the country who might not know, I know that they would probably be familiar with the UCLA. They might be familiar with with Stanford. They might be familiar with even a USC. But for those who don't know, who are tuning in from different parts of the country, Occidental and Claremont Graduate University are much smaller schools, but they are kind of equipped. They hold the same kind of weight as those much larger campuses that might be more well known nationally. So to go from Echo Park, for those who might not know either, Echo Park is very very similar to actually Mi Vida Loca. So everyone should have seen that movie. So, but
Everyone should not have seen me be the Oh my God. Don't recommend, not endorsing that movie, but okay.
Okay, but Echo Park is the ideas people might have from different parts of the country about like East LA or something. Echo Park has a similar they're different they're different hoods, different bodies, but like it was very rough in those times. So to go from Echo Park to Oxy and CGU, that's kind of a departure. So can you tell us about how that happened?
Well, I mean, it's all very honest because I actually didn't graduate from high school. I was like in a 10th grade for 3 years because I never went to school. One was I was ditching and partying, and the other one was that my mom was dying of, she was an alcoholic and she had cirrhosis, so she was in and out of the hospital. So I never had the attendance to like finish. And then, it's real interesting. Another thread that I follow in my life, which is my guidance counselor, who I thought, to be honest with you, was like super racista and, didn't believe in students of color, was like, you're not going to graduate. So either take the proficiency exam, right, which is like the GED if you're 17 and under, or you're just going to drop out. So I actually took the GED. I was like one of 3 kids who passed out of 25 who took it, which is really kind of showing about all of the kids like in LA Unified who are super capable but failing. And the fact that I honestly had like a 0.0 grade point average leaving or high school. I would have dropped out if I didn't pass that test, but anyway, I left there, but I always loved to read. As you can see, I have like hundreds of books. And so I probably enroll in community college. So I went to community college for 4 years. And then in the year that, or actually post Rodney King rebellion, Occidental College thought, oh, we should probably like pay for a scholarship for poor students to come here. Right. So they started what's called the James Irvine Scholar, and they legit got 12 kids from South, from East LA, from really, to be honest with you, from all, the working class neighborhoods. And I know that I wouldn't, uh, I really didn't have the qualifications to get into Occidental, and I actually really struggled academically, and I think that happens a lot to our, like, we really have the street smarts, and we have this incredible, you know, uh, survival and thinking and understand this incredible compassion. But when it comes to academics, I really struggled to understand how to like read critically, how to write critically. All I got into Occidental through this James Irvine scholarship, which was only because of the Rodney King, uprising, the verdict uprising, and kind of bypassed all of their criteria, which says a lot about, all this criteria we set up for, poor students of color to go through, and they get left out, and I would have been left out, right?
Right.
Except this opportunity. So that's how I got to, and I was terrible at Occidental. It was so painful. I wanted to drop out every time because I could not get, like, I just got C's and D's, honestly, the whole way through. But I kicked ass at Claremont. By that time, I was properly inducted into academia and I did well, but I really, it was very painful to be at Occidental, to be honest with you.
So your son, transitioning from listening to what you're telling me and what I kind of know about your life. So you struggled. You were not prepared to succeed, and it took a while to figure out what the rhythms and all the kind of things to be successful in that world. But your son, he's taken he's pretty natural at it, and yet he's faced a lot of things, regardless of the fact that he is so brilliant within the school setting, and they still put barriers.
I mean, my son is 16 years old, and, we live in Highland Park. He went to the local here in LA Unified. For middle school, he went to El Sereno. And at El Sereno, he just really was adamant that, he was bored out of his mind. At the time, he was like on this gifted, thread, and he read in this like newsletter they sent that Cal State LA has an early entrance program. It's one of 3 in the country, and it lets kids as young as 12 years old start their bachelor's degree. They just have to score above the national average on the SAT and do an interview and do a summer bridge and pass the bridge. So he was 12 at the time. He was like, I'm taking the SAT and I'm going to get the hell out of like middle school because whatever. And he took it. He studied. He got a book out of the library. He studied for it all by himself. He got the score, which was nuts. Like, how did that, like, dropped him off. We had to sign all these waivers, but he was 12 and he went into that classroom of high school seniors or juniors taking the SAT, and he freaking got that score at 12. And he was getting grades at El Sereno. Is that a trip?
Yeah.
Right? What does that say? Our failing students, can have a different kind of opportunity and like excel. Anyway, he scored. He got into the summer bridge program for this Cal State LA thing, and felt like he was dying in that summer bridge. He was the only Latino, only kid who lived near Cal State LA. No African American students. And my son did this whole thing of his own initiative. We never helped him with anything. We never got him tutoring. He kind of breezed through school up until the time he got into that Cal State LA summer bridge. And it was painful for him in the way that I think Occidental was painful for me, in terms of feeling like I didn't belong there. I wasn't good. I wasn't capable. So he actually dropped out that summer. He was 13. He went back. They let him in again when he was 14. Still, I think no African American students in the program, still maybe one or two, maybe no, I don't know. I feel like he's the only Latino in the program. But again, painful, but this time he followed through. And his first semester, so they're actually proper college students. They are in their freshman year. So I know a lot of people think it's like a little program on campus, but they're actually in the general college population. And so anyway, he's finishing his second year at Cal State LA. He's going to get his bachelor's when he's 18. And he has like a 3 point, 3 grade point average at Cal State LA. And he just turned 16. So again, we had the resources, his dad and I, to help him figure this out. But I just can't help all the time but think of our students, our students of poor working class immigrant that don't have advocates and don't have access to information that they need to find the opportunities that really suits their intelligence and their hard work and all of that stuff. But yeah, my son has fought really hard for this opportunity. I don't know anybody personally who's gone or is going through, or anyone who knows somebody who has experienced this. So, we're really kind of breaking new ground as a family, and just trying to support and protect him at the same time.
Yeah. And it seems like so many of us go through this kind of process.
I can't hear you, friend.
Can you hear me now? Or you see my mouth moving?
I don't think I'm muted.
I can hear you.
Volume is on.
I can hear you.
Interesting.
This is kind of interesting. What are we going to do? I don't know how to handle this, actually, because if you can hear me, or you can't hear me, then we can't interact.
Matt, I can't hear you. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me see. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
No. Maybe it's my...
Oh, she's gone. All right. Well, we will be shortly rejoined by Angelina. Can everyone? Can I be heard? Can people hear me? Can you get some response? Still watching. By Angelina. Can everyone? Yeah, I just hear myself. Okay. Well, I'm going to reschedule with Angelina, and I hope you enjoyed the first Angelina part 1. And let's see. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the Angelina sessions part 1. Oh. 3, 2, 1. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Sorry.
All right, never mind. I was gonna be like, this is Angelina session 1, and then we're gonna do.
Wow.
Although I'll be honest with you, I did say Angelina the first time, then I said Angelina, second.
Well, every time you say Angelina, I'm just gonna say yeehaw.
All right, Angelina. Yeah, so I would just it seems like so many people that go through this go through our education system are made to feel stupid, and I think that that's kind of just an extension of our society because I know for myself, I mean, even though I didn't go through the traditional routes of education, the fact is matters. I speak at universities. The fact of the matter is I speak at conferences. I do all these kinds of things, and my intelligence is always questioned. The validity of what I'm saying is always questioned, even if people in the audience or who have invited me don't know anything about the topic at hand. Um, the validity of what I'm saying is questioned because what could I possibly know? You know, what could a Mexican possibly know? And I think that it's not just me; it's all of us. I mean, the question that we're perceived to be kind of like very hard workers, very like strong and durable or something like that, but we're not seen as intelligent. I mean, that's kind of like that we're seen as like mules, and so like even at
Right. I mean, like I really coming from where I come from, right? I think, for the people that I grew up with, it went two ways. Either you kind of really retreated and like wanted to be invisible because of all the shit that was happening around us, or you came out in front and you were like going to punch somebody in the face, right? So, I think personally for me, I always feel this like I'll punch you in the fucking face. Like there's always that like instinct in my life. And so when
Mhm.
I'm out in the world, I think I have that energy, like I will punch you. And so I don't always get, like that dynamic. And if anybody gets crazy or questions me or my whatever, like I feel like I get a face or I start like putting my aura, like I'll punch you in the face aura.
Yeah.
So the thing, and in addition to that, I do know what, this myth is of intelligence and especially around language, right? Because I am a dual language teacher. And so I'm the Spanish teacher. And then the kids go half of the day in English. And in my class, the kids who only speak Spanish are badasses, right? Because all the kids are depending on them to translate, right? Like, what did she just say? And then those beautiful children will, show this incredible bilingualism, like that's the letter A or whatever they're saying. But in addition to that, they're understood in my classroom as Spanish speakers. So there's not like, you don't know English, you don't have anything to contribute, you don't have anything to say, right? So there's stuff around language. But yes, people just take a look at us and assume like, what do you have to offer, what do you have to say? And that there's like literally not even a space in my life for that, because even when I go to Mexico, the man who is selling something, ice cream, whatever, there's like this incredible knowledge that all of our people have about anything, about cars, about, you know, computers, anything. And so I never, ever, feel, especially from, working class immigrant people, I feel like there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And that's not a romanticizing. I know we have all our pathologies for sure, but I'll never, ever, and have never looked at our people, traveling through Central America, traveling through Mexico. I've never looked at one of our people and have thought, you know, you have nothing to offer, you have nothing to say. The opposite. I feel like because we've lived the experiences we have so much to contribute. We have so much to say. So and this dynamic of proving ourselves, or how do you know, or what are your credentials, like that's not even on my radar. And in fact, I am more suspicious of you the more credentials you have, to be honest. Because what did you fucking do to get there? That shit. Anyways.
Do you ever find though that attitude? I mean, I appreciate everything you said. I mean, I agree. I appreciate and agree with everything you said just now. But do you ever find that attitude of I mean, I mean, like if I'm gonna be like more, if I'm gonna be like I don't know, more like healing or more like intellectual or emotional or vulnerable about it, would be like, oh yeah, because we come from this living in the United States, we're constantly bombarded with all this disrespect, so put us on edge, and that's why. blah blah blah. But like that attitude of I'm gonna punch you. Do you ever find that gets you in trouble in the wrong places? Because I remember recently for me, I was at this Dignidad Literaria thing up north, and there was a guy there who was there to just really have the free sangria and sit in the back and drink and get drunk and have a good time. And by the end, he was all toasted. And he came up and he was like being mean and rude to everybody. And then he came up to me and he started saying something. I was like, "Man, get out of here!" And then he put his hand on me, and I was like, I pushed his hand off, and then and I'm like, "You don't ever put your hands on me." And then he out of nowhere, he was all like, in America, right? And like, I'm like, I almost said, "You don't put your hands on me in America. You don't put your hands on me in Mexico. You don't put your hands on me in El Salvador." And I was sort of listing all the countries of Latin America. But then I realized in the context of this conversation, that might be perceived as not racist, but I don't know, like not good, right? And then I'm like, oh, I can't say that. So then I'm like, you don't put your hands on me in America. You don't put your hands on me with a fox. So then he gets a plastic cup and sticks the plastic cup in my chest, right? So I slap the plastic cup out of his hand, and we're kind of like in a little bit, and then it gets breaking up. But this was at this Dignidad event, right? And the Vato was there putting it on, and like all these people from Presente were there, and I was like, oh my god, I just like almost, I very, I no punches were really thrown, but there was push. That I mean, it was. This is not a good look. I mean, I'm supposed to like this is not. They're having.
But you know what? I mean, the thing is this, Matt, is that anger is a very real thing for our people. Like that shit is so real, right?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, personally, when I think of like generational trauma, it goes way back, you know? And so actually, I personally, for many of us, I feel like we go two ways. I feel like we're either the person who starts to step back, right? Like think about, and we didn't all have to grow up like, even in my neighborhood, there were people who had parents that protected them. So they didn't have the same experience that I did. I was just very, very vulnerable as a child. But, I think we all have this ongoing conversation with, you know, um, our anger translator. Like we all have anger translators, right? And some of us react, and to be honest, it's perfectly understandable. I just saw that movie, the Mr. Rogers movie with Tom Hanks, right?
Okay.
And they're talking about anger in that movie and how angry that journalist was. And I'm like, well, that was a professional white man. How does an immigrant or a fourth generation Chicana, poor people, what are we supposed to do with our anger? We don't have Mr. Rogers to fucking understand us, right? And so, this anger thing is very real. And, we're adults and we're still constantly, as far as I'm concerned, day by day managing our anger, and there's a lot of triggers. So anyone, and I know personally for me, it's really hard for me to behave. I'm serious. Like I really, like, people really piss me off, and it's ongoing. Like one of my poems I wrote was, "You're a fucking asshole, stupid fuck." Like that's constantly like going through my head when I'm talking to knuckleheads. And it's really my challenge every day to like be patient, be respectful, definitely say what I need to say. But my question about like your experience is, I'm surprised that's not happening more often, right? You had a little scuffle, I'm surprised we're not like throwing punches all day long, because there's a lot of things that happen to us that we don't understand that make us very angry, and we react to, and then we're all embarrassed and have remorse about how we behave. But it's this terrible cycle of degrading and dehumanizing experiences that we've had and have been unable to process, and we're just walking around like wanting to punch everyone because we have like sorted out what's going on. So I definitely act up and I do things later that I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that or said that, or it's my journey. But, if I'm not always successful as far as I'm concerned, it's completely understandable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure.
So good for you that you didn't, punch that vato back.
Well, I'm sure he had all kinds of things that he needs to sort out in his own life and unprocess whatever. But he was trying to assort them and process them in my personal realm of space. So, yeah, you can't have that. But like speaking of your poetry, can we hear some poems?
For sure. I'll read from my manuscript. Okay, pick a number between 1 and 35.
I don't know why I'm covering my eyes, but just it feels like it'll be more authentic if I do.
Well, you know why? Because I know why. Because you want to touch your face, and also because everyone that you've interviewed, you like make
Yeah,
them hold, like you make them hold their head in their hands.
I do
So
make it like this.
you're
I
like,
can't believe.
Angelina hasn't done it, so let me do it for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
So if I get a still
one
where someone's holding their head, yeah, I need that held head, that handheld thumbnail. 27.
All right, hold on. Let me see what's on 27. Hold on. All right. Can you see me?
I can.
Okay. So the book that I'm writing is about a 3-year period from the time that I got divorced to when I finished my MFA. And half or 2/3 of the book are poems about my like adult life, and then uh, a central part of it is about growing up in Echo Park, Silver Lake. So this is a poem about where I lived when I was living in Silver Lake. It's called Edgecliff. Oasis, where single mothers on welfare could rent an apartment that not only reflected human dignity, but offered sanctuary and beauty for families. 30 apartments organized around zigzagging staircases where we played tag, leafy patio corners where we put on puppet shows, bridges leading to solitary landings and pebble gardens, Mediterranean ambiance in the middle of the city, Josie screaming, Dona Rana my rampas, vowing to tell our secretary, welfare, waitress, mothers that we were being bad. Sparkling swimming pool overlooking Bellevue Park babysat our army of latchkey kids. Over 5 years, cement began pouring into every corner of that property that mattered to us. They started with the planters, then moved to the gardens, and last was the pool, until everything became a concrete landscape, sealed death and loss to come.
That's wow. Yeah. Can we hear another?
Okay, 1 through 35.
15.
What did you say, 15?
16.
All right, uno momento. Ha, all right, here you go.
Yeah, roll the dice.
Here you go. Shit Show Wednesday. Monday, just a few feet from the Nordstrom Rack entrance, Calvin Klein white pantsuit in double X size. How unusual. It's a sign. We will win. Tuesday, it's wear a white fucking pantsuit day, bitches. Colleagues say, are you getting married at lunchtime? I look like hell in white. Otherwise, I would have joined you. Election results party, my house. Festive spirals to confused panic, flurry of text messages begin. Leave guests to walk dogs, usually loud and busy street, deserted. Television glows light the sidewalk. Impossible mocks my heart. Decide to sleep with the boys. My son asks in the dark, can he really be president, Mama? I pull him in closer. Their sleeping breath holds vigil. Wednesday, 3 a.m. Screenshot headline, pigs freeze and hell flies. Get up, recite chapters 2 and 16 of the Lotus Sutra, toast waffles, fold burritos, throw in load of laundry, print 24 narrative reports. 10 parent conferences ahead of me, first one, 7 a.m. Parent and I cry for 5 minutes, then discuss their 5-year-old daughter's progress. Teaching partner says, it's an art day today. Color outside the lines. Parent in hallway at Day of Dead display turns to me with swollen eyes. We embrace. School is shelter. I'm taking in the wounded. Get home at 5 p.m. Boys are with their dad. Crawl into bed. Sleep until tomorrow. Thursday, level 5 hurricane of information. Some are stunned. The smartass is new. I'm at the dog park by 2 p.m. Autumn sun warms me. People all around me. I am alone. Friday, who to blame? Racist white folks, white women, third-party voters, non-voters, neoliberals, Democratic Party, the media, intellectuals, the elite, Russia, red states, blue states, Canada, voting laws, electoral college, Hillary, Donald, the burn, karma, neglect, misogynist, the disconnect, Mark Zuckerberg, our unwillingness to see and know. Saturday, the same elder who called during Katrina and said, New Orleans is the bottom of a slave ship right now, calls again. Who votes for a man that supports waterboarding? Look, did they miss the kindergarten lesson? You don't vote for a bully, not for student government, and not for the President of the United States. Phone on speaker while I cook fish sticks and mac and cheese. Boys wait for me to binge watch Stranger Things. Sunday, constipated since Wednesday. Finally, take a shit.
God damn. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're an incredible writer. But it's so interesting that you write so well with so much like a juxtaposition of these really beautiful written lines, and then like this kind of this gut punch, just like reality, kind of like fuck this, kind of the way you structure things. It's really interesting because like I remember when I first met you and then added you on social media handles, I would see these little like almost like post-it notes that seemed like reminders to yourself, like, and they were like poetry. It would be like pick up the kids on Sunday, like or something like that. And I was like,
punch him in the face.
Punch him in the face. Yeah, yeah. It was like so direct. And it was later when I heard your poetry, I'm like, oh, I see what's happening here. I see what's happening. So it's really been a almost a journey for myself to just discover, like how you do things. Really, really incredible. You've been at a number of these writer retreats, like with Vona, Macondo, a few others, right?
Right. Just Vona and Macondo.
Okay. So what have those experiences been like for those who don't know what Vona and Macondo are? If you could explain that, and then for those who do know and are constantly rejected, you can gloat a little bit, and then
yeah. I mean, so Vona is Vona and Macondo are both basically they're writers' workshops, but basically you go for 5 days, and in a genre, so poetry, creative nonfiction, fiction. And you sit in a room with an instructor who will facilitate the reading of your work and a discussion around it. And sometimes it's generative, so you're actually writing, in the workshop. But mostly people bring their work and we talk about it. And then there's like discussions about craft and content. Um, you know, yeah, I feel really fortunate to have gotten in to both of those workshops. And, I think for all of us, except for you, Matt, because you're the best in the West, but most of us feel like, how did this happen? How did I get here? Like I definitely struggle with imposter syndrome, and I definitely, I don't, I write because I have to, but like just what you said, like, I love your juxtaposition. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't always know what I'm doing. So, getting into Vona and Macondo, to me, like, I have to, uh, it always seems like a mystery and a miracle that I have these opportunities. And I just, Vona, I tried 3 years. Macondo, it was my second year when I got in of trying to get in.
Yeah.
I was waitlisted on Macondo. So anyway, so why did I keep applying? I really wanted an opportunity to learn from the facilitators, right? And so for Vona, my facilitator was Willie Perdomo, and that was a life-changing experience. Like, just having him in my life is everything, and he changed my life because I went to Vona 2 months after I graduated from my MFA program, or maybe even 1 month. And my MFA program really broke me. Like, it really made me feel like a complete piece of shit. And like 100% I wasn't a poet, right? And so going to Willie, I almost just went to know that like I was alive and that my work mattered and that there was hope for my work, right? And then, I got what I needed at Vona. And then in Macondo, I worked with Sherwin Butsui, who is an amazing Navajo poet. And then, most significantly in both of those workshops was who was around the table, right? And so my Vona, mates, my classmates at Vona and my classmates at Macondo, are just incredible, humble, generous, writers, people of color writers who just really come with their hearts in their hand. It's only been a very positive. And I think that the biggest challenge that I had in both of those workshops, again, was really feeling like I belonged there, And the first night of Macondo, there was like a dinner, and I saw Pat Alderete, who's on the Macondo board, and she hugged me and just said, "You belong here." And I just couldn't stop crying. I was like, "Oh my God." So I think, yeah. So anyway, I got emotional about that. Sorry.
Oh,
But
it's all good.
yeah, but both of those workshops, definitely life transforming and beautiful. And I just want to say this, that there's so much that when I did Vona was the year that everything came out about Juno Diaz, right? And there was definitely some criticism about like, why are you supporting that? Why are you going there? And now with the whole American Dirt, and there was so much hesitation and criticism that about Sandra Cisneros that definitely tied to Macondo. And I just have to say that those things are happening and did happen, but there's really, from the bottom of my heart, it was a life transforming experience to be in that workshop with Willie and my classmates, and to be in Macondo with Sherwin Butsui and my classmates there. So, life transforming days. And I encourage folks to have that experience and to keep applying.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, as far as the critique, I mean, I want to talk about the meat of what you said, but as far as critique is concerned, the way I always handle that is that no one's above critique. No one's above critique, and there are things that can be said about any one of us, right? But if
Mm-hmm.
you think you're gonna go rifling through my garbage and you're gonna try and like bring me out to light and do something like that, I will rifle through yours, and we can do this. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of when people get that on that high horse, like they're gonna be like, well, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, oh, okay. What shouldn't you have done in life? I will find that out, and we'll make a public spectacle of that. Because you know, and that's not the direction. That's that. But yeah, no, that sounds like a really beautiful experience, and I really, for those, they should continue applying. But for you and I, in the context of this conversation, I really think that you should spend time investing in not just being good, but knowing why you're good, and knowing what it is about yourself that is really good and really exceptional. And so that one, you can have a deeper body of work because then you can like reproduce it on a more consistent basis. Because not just like your subconscious creeping out and like, being great and being brilliant, but it's something you're actually like, like you can summon at will. So I think that's really important. But the other thing is that when you know why you're good, nobody on earth can validate you or discredit you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know
Yeah.
why you're good.
So yeah, I mean, so the thing is this, which is coming back to the Vona workshop, was because, I did have like a one-on-one session with Willie, and Willie just was like basically said, I don't really know, like I don't know a voice out there that's like your voice, like as a Chicana, as a mother, as an educator. And the other thing he said was, write the way you talk, because the way you talk is so particular, right? It's a very particular. And so I do think, I feel that the things that I have going for me are definitely what my life experience has been, right? Because I feel like I've experienced things definitely, in my childhood and in my adolescence that really speaks to the desperation that so many poor people experience. And I'm proud of that. I have no shame about where I come from, and I can really speak on behalf of our people that show up in a certain way, and we get criticized, and I can really stand up and defend us and say, okay, well, this is why, shame on you. Look at the conditions that you've created to put us in this place, right? So I think I have that going for me in my writing, and I feel like what I really have, the new thing that I'm very proud of, is really being able to look at lines of poetry and really, trimming things down
Mhm.
and really being clear that, I'm conveying the image that I want to share, right, in the least amount of words. So I feel like my craft is really sharpening. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about, my voice. And yeah, so I think I have some things, going for me. But I think that constant, imposter feeling, um, it's just something I'm going to have to battle every day, and it's something that I do really challenge every day, to feel like, I have a place and I deserve to share my work. I wonder if we lost you because your screen went black, or maybe you lost me. I don't know who's losing. What's happening? Can we should we jump off and jump back on again?